I got that right. Hello, Anna.
Hi.
Did I butcher your name too badly?
No, you got it right.
Okay, good. Well,
Sounds like a good Italian name.
It does sound like an Italian. It has that kind of Italian ring to it.
Yes.
You just graduated from Notre Dame.
Yep.
But you weren't one of the ones giving the thunderous applause to.
No, I skipped the commencement.
And you were outside at the grotto, I assume.
I was, yeah, at the rally that the ND Response students put on out in South Quad and then at the grotto.
So you graduated with a law degree.
I did.
And you gave up your graduation basically to make a point.
Yeah, well, I knew that I wouldn't be able to go to commencement in good conscience and to applaud when they're handing him an honorary degree, especially it's an honorary doctorate of law, what the same degree I was getting, although mine wasn't honorary, I actually worked for it. But I mean, to what that means, what the degree meant, why I chose to go to Notre Dame in the first place for its Catholic identity, and for the fact that I was going to get something different out of my law degree than at any other university. I couldn't in good conscience go and support that, especially in the face of what the bishops have said, because people ask, well, what if they hadn't given the honorary degree, would you have been able to go, if he was just the commencement speaker, if it was like Arizona State? And still, no. Your commencement speaker is the person that they've chosen to send you off into the world listening to. It's the beginning of your new life, and someone, that's done the things that Obama has in office already. When we talk about Mexico City policy, embryonic stem cell research funding, he didn't keep the status quo on life issues. Like, he's dramatically changed it in his first few months in office, and I can't go in good conscience, especially at a Catholic school. I didn't go to a secular school. Had I gone to a secular school, I would have expected this. Had I gone to, maybe a Georgetown or a Fordham or somewhere else where they don't at least say they're adhering to their Catholic mission anymore, as much as Notre Dame does, I would have expected it. I still would have been very upset and not gone. But this is, Notre Dame is still, it's iconic, at least as far as what it means to the Catholic Church and the Catholic world. And you said it a minute ago, but it was scandalous. Like, it's very scandalous that this Catholic school invited Obama and everything that he's done in the face of what the Church says about life issues.
Well, I hear this guy Jenkins and others there defending us, saying, well, it's a way to start dialogue. There's no dialogue. The man's giving a speech. You don't have an opportunity. You try to dialogue with him, they'll haul you off in handcuffs.
They were giving him a platform. This is what the Church was against. They were giving him a platform to make his case. And we all know he's a charismatic, great speaker. And if you listen to his speech, it sounded great. Yeah, for that, I'm fine. I'm for working with everyone. I mean, but if you sit there and look at the things he's saying, it's a complete contradiction to what he's actually doing. And I think this was, for our perspective as students for life, we had people calling in going, okay, Kristen, you've got to get all your thousands of students out on the campus. And for us, our students really weren't that enraged. Anna and the students at Notre Dame were enraged, but for the other kids who go to secular schools or students at Georgetown, they're like, we had the president last week and we covered up all the religious symbols, for him. So for students, it really wasn't that outrage, but it served as a mechanism, I think, to get the adult pro-life movement a little more reinvigorated, especially Catholic.
Let me tell you why Obama was there. This was pure 100% cynical politics. He knows that the abortion thing could hurt him, and it could especially hurt him with Catholic voters. This was a way to neutralize opposition within the Catholic Church, because he's able now to trot around the country and say, hey, Catholics invited me, they gave me a degree, they obviously don't have that big a problem with my positions. And when 54% of the Catholics, as they did in this last election, voted for this guy, he knows that without that, he wouldn't have won.
He knows it can easily go back to how it was in the Bush years when Catholics were voting for Bush. I think that worries him. Anna, how many other students were with you at the alternative graduation, Father Frank?
I've heard estimates of, because it was hard to tell exactly how many students were there, because the initial stuff we were kind of spread out. But then at the grotto, I think there were about 20 seniors, and then I know that there were at least 10 law students there as well.
Right.
But then I know of other law students in my class who were at various parts of the ND Response rally that weren't at the grotto. There's one of my classmates. She had a baby this last year. She got married last summer, had a baby this year, so definitely worked harder than any of the rest of us to get her degree, because I don't think she slept this semester.
Wow.
But she, her son was acting up at one point, so she had to leave. But I know of a lot of students that even some of my classmates who still went to commencement just because they thought, well, this is something that they had to do, they had to go, and just, afterwards said, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just gone with you. It was sick to watch people stand and give him a standing ovation for, when he talks about embryonic stem cell research. And just, one of my friends remarked that she just, was wondering if people even understood what they were clapping for. And, Jenkins kept saying over and over and over again before graduation this was going to be about dialogue. But again, like you guys have said, I don't understand how this was dialogue when, Obama gets a standing ovation for talking about embryonic stem cell research and,
There's no dialogue.
Dialogue is a debate, not a platform.
Or at least a conversation between two or more people.
There's no rebuttal that's not dialogue.
No, it's not dialogue.
Yeah. And that's not, dialogue isn't, the commencement isn't supposed to be about dialogue. It's supposed to be about, someone sending you off into the world. And if the bishops hadn't, made a statement several years ago, if this hadn't been going on at other Catholic universities, you could maybe say, well, maybe Notre Dame just didn't understand. But they understood. No. They knew. And it's really sad.
Why ever happen just to the boring old commencement speakers that everybody forgets? Why do we have to go to this?
Because it's prestigious.
But in some ways, like I did in some ways have a great graduation because I got to hear some wonderful speakers, for that the ND response students had brought in. The prayer service at the grotto was really nice. So, in some ways, like I did have an enjoyable experience. It was a beautiful day. I was outside all day, but it's shameful that that's the reason why it was.
Well, Anna, thank you for being with us, and regardless of what anybody tells you, and you'll always know for the rest of your life that you did the right thing.
That's right.
So
just thank you, and thank you for having me on.
Take that with you, and we appreciate your being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We might need her to be a lawyer for you. I was going to say, I hope she hurry up and passes her bar.
Yeah.
So
that's what I kept saying.
We need her
remember, she's a law grad.
Right.
This is a girl who's going to be out there fighting for life.
Yeah. Well, it was a sad situation. Like I said, I saw that split screen of Jenkins walking with this guy and this thundering ovation and the applause, and I'm at the split screen with Father Westland outside getting arrested and hauled off in a stretcher. I couldn't watch it. I left. That was it. Now let's check in with Father Frank and Janet.
Thanks, Mark. Well, friends, today, Janet Morano, our Executive Director at Priests for Life, and I would like to share with you an inspiring story about someone who chose life. Her name is Kathleen Fitzpatrick, and Janet, give us a little background.
Well, Kathleen's story is that she was away at college and found herself in an unplanned pregnancy. And it's very inspiring to listen to her story because I think the LifeTalk audience can take this as an example of looking into the mind of these girls, and how Kathleen was able to say yes to life, but they can understand the temptations were there where she could have been pulled in the other direction. And it's a very insightful interview.
Well, the battle over abortion is fought in the polling places, in the legislatures, on the streets, in the classrooms, in the media. But first and foremost, it's fought within the heart and mind of an individual and her family. And we're going to see that battle play out here, and we're going to see how it turned into the victory for life.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the interview now with Kathleen.
Well, my story, this chapter of my life really begins the sophomore year of my college experience, which was in 2006. The actual date that really marks this change was on January 24th, 2006, which was my sophomore year when I found out that I was pregnant. And a couple months prior to that, right before Christmas break, a bunch of girlfriends and I went down to this house at the beach where my college was that was pretty much notorious for having parties, and we were pretty much frequenting those parties and a part of that college scene and everything that entailed. And so we were down there one night for a party before break, and as the night progressed, so did the drinking, and I ended up getting way too drunk. I ended up staying there, woke up the next morning, really having very little idea of what possibly could have transpired the night before, having some inclination that, I ended up having slept with somebody, but I didn't know for sure. And I think that's a common situation on college campuses, which I'm coming to see more and more, especially having been a part of it. So anyway, I go home for college break, for Christmas break actually, and I'd missed my period. And a month had gone by, and I said, oh, that's weird. I don't usually do that, and thinking, it's stress, it was finals, coming home, I don't know, just anything to basically convince yourself that it couldn't really be a reality of thinking of what it could be. So spent Christmas break at home, then I went back to school for the spring semester, and now it had been 2 months, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't remember having slept with anybody, but I don't know. And why don't I just assuage my fears? I'll go to the health center at my school. I'll bring my roommate with me, and I'll just confirm that I'm definitely not pregnant. And then that way, maybe I won't be stressed out about it, and everything will be back to normal. So my roommate comes with me, and we just casually walked in. I said, I'm here for a pregnancy test. And she kind of looked at me. She said, oh, come on in, over here. Obviously, it wasn't the first time she'd heard somebody come in there for that. And I sat, I took the pregnancy test, and then she had ushered me into another room where I waited for the doctor and the visiting doctor to come and talk to me. And before they had kind of released any kind of information or news, they asked, had you thought or given any thought as to what you would do if you did find yourself pregnant? And I said, I would keep the baby. And it just kind of jumped out of my mouth, my conviction at that moment. I was kind of even surprised myself, thinking, maybe it's because I don't think I actually am pregnant that I was able to say that so easily. But anyway, they ended up coming back into the room, and she said, your test is positive, and you are pregnant. And in that moment, the only way I can really describe it is it's an out-of-body experience.